Live. Go for it.
Okay, so we're an hour and 8 minutes into the battle, and we haven't really pushed this thing as hard or as fast as we could. This is kind of a pedestrian pace. Again, this is a crawl level scenario, and even so, we've been able to do this fairly rapidly. Not a whole lot slower than these kind of things unfold in real time out in the field. And at this point, we have managed to get through the minefield. One of the things I wanted to point out, and this is kind of a mea culpa, um, the engineers, if we hover over here, we can see that they've reduced their minefield. Where the mechanized infantry went through, it is not reduced. And I thought that was a bug, and I chased that thing down for a week, and I missed the fact that um, I'm running this in my development environment, which is set for professional version. And in the professional version, you have to be an engineer in order to reduce a minefield. So what happened was this stack of mechanized infantry, when they hit this minefield hex, they do what we call an in-stride breach, which basically means they're going to do a breach of an obstacle, but they're not going to mark it and hand it over such that other people can use it. In other words, it's entirely local to that unit, and so that's where we're at with that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is kind of going back to um, this handy slide, and let's talk about these first two things: suppress and obscure. Now we've done for the minefield, we suppressed. We fired I think a 25-minute prep while folks rolled forward to get into the supporting position. Then we shot a bunch of smoke, and you can still see it on the map. And then we're in the process of securing the breach through the obstacle and also reducing. Now we've reduced half of it, and next actually right now we're in an assault phase to clear where we want to make the hole in the defense so the follow-on forces can come through. And what I did not do, and I did this on purpose to show the effects and the necessity of the obscuration, is did not fire smoke where these two platoons are making a breach through the sector boundary obstacle that separates a couple of company positions. And as a result, these guys have taken over 50% casualties. Full strength, they're at 9 steps each. So that's 18 steps, and they're currently at 7 steps. And I relate this back to my professional experience, having gone from M113 infantry to Bradley infantry, and the tanks are M1s, and all the fighting vehicles have thermal sights, and it kind of gets you into the mindset of smoke doesn't matter. And there's an offset, right? So the Warsaw Pact would fire a lot of smoke, and it's like, haha, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter to the dismounted guys because they don't have that thermal capability to see through the smoke. And the Warsaw Pact guys, apart from a few reconnaissance platforms, don't have that either, right? And the difference here is these two platoons ought to be close to full strength if they had um, smoke on their position. Now, granted, they were also able to really beat up on this unit, which is, it was a motorized rifle company. Now it's down to like a headquarters, a couple of machine guns, one squad, and two ATGMs, short range ones, 1,000-meter ones. Okay, so effectively, they're no longer a maneuver unit. They they don't have doesn't have the capability to load up in a track, or in this case a BTR 80, and move out. Only has one squad. However, they're still a threat to the breach. because of the machine guns and ATGMs. So they got to get cleared out. However, we're well on the way to clearing this thing out. Okay, so let's look at the support force down here. And is it time to move them yet? Well, we know that there is somebody in this improved position. And I'm going to keep these guys here mostly to keep them from maneuvering out and trying to reinforce. If those guys leave, they're going to be under observation. They're going to get fired up. And so they can then separate this company from the rest of their battalion. So they're going to stay put. Back here, we've still got one tank company and another tank company. And what I want to use those guys for is to push through the breach and clear the corridor. Right now, a mission statement for this kind of mission would be something like Task Force 377 attacks to or conducts an assault breach in order to open up a passage lane in order to, right? And the in order to part is in the US Army, that was like really became a big thing probably around 83, 85, somewhere around there. And the idea there was it was kind of like the predecessor to what we call now call mission command, and that was to understand at the lower levels what the intent of the more senior commander was. And so that whatever's part of that in order to kind of gives you a clue as to what, why you're doing what you're doing. And it also gives you a clue to identify things that the opportunities on a battlefield that may be unplanned for. You just discover them, and it could be something significant that contributes to the overall plan. So in this case, building the story here, it would be, Task Force 377 conducts an assault breach to open a lane in order to pass through. Maybe it's the division cavalry squadron. Maybe it's another brigade of the division. Maybe it's elements of the core armored cavalry regiment. It just depends. But knowing that you're doing this in order to pass through another unit gives everybody, like down to the platoon level, the context of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it's an important thing, and it really enhances success. All right, so at this point, what are these guys doing? They're still breaching. No, they're holding. All right, so let's go ahead and give those guys some orders, and we're going to go ahead and tell them to move through the guys in front of them. And we'll go ahead and take one engineer and tell him to go clear that little town. And then we're going to tell this guy, let's see, the mines are here. Yes. And we're going to tell him to clear the mines that the infantry did not clear. And that will give us our 1 kilometer wide lane. And we got 23 minutes till our next orders. So we're going to go ahead and start moving the company that's back here. let's see who we got here. We got company headquarters and the engineer headquarters. We'll leave them there for now, and we'll start moving tanks forward. And we'll just get them up to the town at this point. We'll be kind of conservative. I'm choosing screen because I've used the screen command as a temporary halt. And that's what I want to do. And now I'll shoot some smoke on these guys to help them out. And we'll run that and see where we go. So those scouts to the northeast are getting hit with indirect fire. It's having no effect. So that kind of tells me that when we hit that mortar battery, we took out a lot of tubes. The animations in the game don't give you an indicator of the volume or intensity of fire, just that you're receiving fire. Plenty of smoke on our guys in the obstacle in between the Soviet companies. And now our tank company is starting to roll. And so are the engineers. Smoke is coming and going. And I have no change to orders at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. Okay, so there is somebody in that town. Not much. Looks like one BTR is all that's left where the engineers are. And engineers have finished lifting mines. Engineers are nice that way. They do that really fast. Oh, ouch. Found some infantry in that town, killed it. Looks like a rather bitter fight in that little town. Okay, killed the carrier. Got like a squad left in there. All right. We're going to move these headquarters forward because I'm not sure. Let's look at ranges. Command range for that guy is out there. I'm wondering why these guys haven't moved. Probably is because their morale is crap. That's why. That squad's at 0. That squad's at 0. So they're kind of spent. And we still have an obstacle. Turn that off. So we're going to send these engineers up. And tell them to remove that obstacle. And we're going to take our last company, not our last company, but the other company is in the back down here. And we're going to bring them up. And oh man. What I want to do is run them up along in through here and bypass this town. And the main reason I want to bypass the town is I really think that that's another good place to block anybody trying to come up the rail bed or the highway up into here. So let's look at this real quick here. So we're going to reduce this thing with the engineers. And that gives us a way into this defensive position. But I really don't want to do that. I want to bypass it. So let's move that over to here. Okay, so we're going to redo their orders. Usually with a movement, you can just shove waypoints around, but if there is an engineering order attached to the last waypoint, you can't shift it. So you got to redo the order. And we'll go here, here, and here. And then those guys will remove the last obstacle, which I think they're going to end up removing this obstacle too to get to that one. And they'll clear those two. And so then we'll start these guys back here moving. We'll do it that way. And what I'm doing is if there is somebody in here, I'd really like to get behind them. And then basically crunch them in between both ends, the back end and the front end. Okay, now I know there's guys in there still, so I'm going to hammer them. And don't have a lot of HE there, so we're going to resupply that guy. Let's have a look at this guy. He's got 102 HE. Okay, that's good. We're going to have him burp a bunch of HE at that defense, that company of defense. No, I want neutralization. No, that's what I want right there. Bang. And let's throw 90 rounds at him. And it's going to take 12 minutes. That's fine. And I'm doing that because I don't think that those platoons next to him are going to do much because their morale's so crappy. They're spent. And I'm not going to put him in resupply until we reduce that companies in front of them. And this guy's resupplying. That's fine. And the mortars, they're pretty full up. So you know what? We're gonna throw some mortar fire on those guys too. Right now, I don't want to throw indirect fire into this village because I got a lot of my guys in there. So right now, the real big thing. Well, there might be something in here. Don't know. So that's a suspected enemy position, and so the mortars are going to service that. And okay, so we'll throw 90 rounds at that guy. And now we'll take these guys and we'll take the headquarters, the engineer headquarters, and the breaching mech company headquarters. We're going to move them forward. And now we're ready to go. And much to my surprise, that low morale infantry platoon moved forward a hex. That was good. And I cleared the rest of the remnants of that company out. Okay, medals all around. Uh-huh. Okay, it looks like we found the enemy battalion headquarters. It'll probably be a while before we see artillery fall on that thing because I have given orders to keep all the artillery busy. And I think it's out of range of the mortars. So we've got one unit that was already resupplying. That one will probably get a mission to fire over there at some point. And as you can see, if you have units in a built-up area, it can be very stubborn about getting rid of those guys. The units in that little town are going to expend an incredible amount of ammunition, and that's historical. I mean, that's just the way it works. Ammunition consumption's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times greater in urban areas than it is out in the open. And the bad thing is the Warsaw Pact, there's like a squad or something left. They're calling artillery and it's killing things. Ouch. Okay, so the mechanized infantry from our breach force is now pretty much out of ammunition. What's left looks to be 1 or 2 ATGM teams. And yep, the that headquarters is out of range of mortars. And we're going to move this over to here. I don't have a clue where the enemy mortars are, and I'm not going to waste rounds like fishing around in the woods looking for them. And so I'll leave the rest of I'll leave this battery will be under automatic control. I'll leave him like that. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is these guys are coming up here. Okay, what I'm kind of concerned about is whether there's anybody in the leading edge of this stuff looking down the river valley. But the company that's coming up, I think, will be pretty much masked by this little point of terrain here. So I was thinking about throwing some smoke in here. I don't think I need to do that. So I'll leave this guy available for targets of opportunity that are spotted by my guys. Go ahead and run it. The engineers have cleared this hex of mine, so we have our two lanes, 2 hex wide lane, 1,000 meter wide breach in the minefield. So that was like one of the primary things to do for the brigade. And now we're hammering at the enemy headquarters. Still fighting in the town. And having been more than one occasion that last squad leader in that town, you can really make it hard for guys to get you. So it's not surprising that there's a lot of activity going on with no damage going on. You dance around from building to building, from floor to floor as they shoot. You shoot and you scoot. Although in the case of whoa, uh-oh. Okay, there's somebody in there. Okay. I should have fired that smoke. And what happened was, I think, is that haven't cleared that obstacle yet. And so those tanks are going around it, and it brought them into the kill zone of that Soviet tank company sitting on the edge of town. So that's a synchronization error on my part. And I'm paying a price for it. Now it looks like the wire's open and we got 2 platoons going through it. Well, we got a platoon plus the company headquarters. Ouch. And as the world can see, I neglected to account for that other company who could see where I was going to try and loop around. And again, you know, smoke rounds here would have been really helpful. So we'll smack these guys really good. And then no, it's too late for smoking those guys. So what we will do is we're going to HE them. Use the mortars. They got a bunch of smoke, so we're going to smoke. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to smoke those guys. Put one here. Put one there. Throw 20 rounds down over a 2-minute period for both of those. And let's give a nice 155 volley at that headquarters. Hopefully they don't move out before it gets there. Probably should have hit them 155 instead of mortars. Mortars didn't seem to do too much. Okay, let's take a look at, did we clear this thing? Yes, we did. There's only 3 of those obstacle markers in there. That means that thing's cleared. And we're going to continue to move this guy around. And we'll run him up to there. Well, straight across that way. There we go. I'm not moving this tank company headquarters. Not really a combat unit. Where's this tank platoon going? That's good. Let's push him out a little bit further. No, I don't want to bring him up to the edge of that high ground because this is where we got a tank company. So we don't want him to come up where the tank company can see him. And we're going to start moving these other tanks out to also flank. And we'll adjust this a little bit. Keep him away from the edge there. All right. What are mortars doing? They're smoking that. Okay. All the indirect fire is busy. That's good. We'll take this tank platoon. Do the same thing. Pick this mech platoon. Move it forward. And we'll run it. So you may wonder what I'm going to do about this Warsaw Pact squad. Actually, I think there's nothing left there now. Actually, I think it was looks like it was a carrier. Anyways, if it was a squad, I would ignore it for the purposes of passing through the follow-on forces. They're isolated after that big firefight in the town. They'll be very low on ammunition. They had a lot of vehicles to shoot RPGs at and whatnot. You know, professionally, tactically speaking, you know, they're no longer effective, and we would just wait for the military police to come forward and pick them up as POWs. All right. So now comes the real fun part of this is like, what do I do about that tank company that's in there? And in actuality, it's like down to about 2 platoons. Um, well, I think what I might want to do is take these guys and run around up in here somewhere and then have them dismount and walk up behind them and get in the same hex. And the reason being is that if you're in a built up area and you've got anti-armor weapons with dismounted troops, the dismounted troops have an advantage. But you can't drive up and dump them off in the same hex because then you run the risk of a tank killing the carrier before the fellas get out. So you got to dismount them. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But we got in our mission clock, we got 5 hours left. So that's plenty of time to do that. So I'm going to give these guys new orders. And we're going to do a move deliberate. And so I am going to kind of go up this way and then up to here. And then over to here. And then where the tanks are. So let's see how that works. First, is the path good? Path looks good. Okay, so now we'll go into the SOP manager, or we'll go into the dashboard rather. And what we want to do is for that last waypoint, we're going to look at the order SOP for that. And we're going to dismount two hexes from the end of the path. And just to be sure, we're going to do the same thing on the previous waypoint, which is that's 1 hex away from the path. And we'll do it to the other one too, just to be sure. So what I expect is that mechanized platoon will dismount here and then walk through town and then creep up on that tank company and unleash rockets and missiles at them. We'll see if that's what happens. In the meantime, we're going to hammer with artillery. No idea what this guy's strength is. And since we have got movement still going in through this area here, we want to maintain this smoke screen. And we'll use the mortars for that. And again, we'll use 20 rounds. And what did I use before? Like 4 minutes. I want 20 rounds for 4 minutes, not 4 rounds for 8 minutes. Always double check your work. Okay. And what we got going on here? Okay, we're hitting that guy. Let's hit. What's this guy got for ammo? All right, we'll do another neutralization mission against the tank company. Even if it doesn't get a kill, it's going to degrade their readiness and mess his shot groups up. How's this guy looking? Okay. We're going to leave him on just FSCC to handle whatever comes in as far as requests go. Okay, so this guy, remember, when they were in the wire, they were at 0 morale. So they're getting their stuff. They're getting reorganized and rallied a little bit. They're plussed up on ammo, but they're in bad shape because of both readiness and morale. So they're going to sit there a little bit as they get their stuff together. And this is down to a squad. They got a bunch of stuff, but again, their morale and readiness is very low. They got plenty of ammo, but they're disrupted. So their leaders got to do their job and get them straightened around. These engineers, they're in pretty bad shape too. But we've done a couple of critical things here. One, we've got our minefield breach. That one's breached. That one's breached. It's reduced and it has no effect. All of the enemy units that have line of sight to where the breach is, which is a bottleneck for the forces passing through, have been pushed away or eliminated. So we've accomplished that. And so now the last thing is to clear this roadblock of the remnants of a tank company sitting on the road, and then we will have cleared the corridor. So we're in pretty good shape at this point. We still have, like I said, another 5 hours to get those guys rooted out of there. And for this exercise, we're not looking at this breaching battalion having an immediate follow-on mission to go attack something else. Once they clear this valley and reach the limit of advance, they have done their job. And I would tell you that at this point, they've done the hard part of the job, which is getting through the complex defense, rolling it back wide enough that the defenders can no longer interfere with anybody passing through. There is one company forward, and that's over here in this improved position, that could theoretically, cause some mischief. I have retained an entire tank company, and they're watching those guys, and every time they poke their heads up, they get shot at. And that's their job, is to keep them pinned down. And quite likely, I would keep them there doing the same thing as the follow-on units drive up the highway and blow through the breach and continue on to a deeper battle. All right, let's go ahead and run it. we can see that the platoon here getting kind of beat up. And that's a result of driving into fire missions that were initially called on the leading edge guys. And again, that's my fault because I didn't call these smoke missions north of this defensive position until they saw guys going across there. Okay. Kind of curious as to why these guys are in resupply. It may be because their readiness was low. And these guys were fighting over in this town. And well, ammo's okay, but their readiness and morale's low because they've been fighting for a while. And it's kind of a real thing. You can't just like push guys forever and go through a lot of combat and expect them to perform the same all day long. And it looks like we lost that mech platoon. No, it's up there. Okay, good. And what kind of shape is he in? He's lost a squad, a dragon, and a track. Okay. And by the icon, we can see they are now on foot. Very good. And in addition, what I want to do is look at their SOP, and since they're attacking tanks, there is no reason for them to use their armor personnel carriers to try and support the squads. The squads got to do it on their own because the machine guns on the tracks are not going to do a whole lot of good against tanks. Okay, so we did that. Now, I'm not worried about this guy actually driving into that objective. If he's sitting there at the end and with all this combat power that we've got up here and what little combat power remains, which right now really is the remnants of this company, the motorized rifle company, and a couple of platoons of tanks. I'm going to have a weight of forces that outweighs the influence of those guys. And so this, even though right now it's a Soviet controlled area, at the end it will be it will the way the situation is right now, it will flip to U.S. control. And so we're going to throw some more smoke out there. And we got 52 left, so we can do 20 and 20 again. And then we're going to have to resupply. And then we're going to continue to hammer the 2 unit locations that we know about. That guy's going to need to resupply after that. And we'll tell him to resupply after firing that mission. And we're going to double that up there. That's fine. He's got 132. That's fine. Run that and see what happens. Oh, that was not good. I didn't think that he would see those guys. Okay, so now we come to the end here. And I will say that I've not balanced this to give you the victory according to the calculations. Looking at the force balance and whatnot, to get a victory, we would need. I would, if I was balancing this to be a commercial release scenario, then I would give a lot more weight to the victory point location in the Soviet rear. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Because for several reasons. One is what I wanted to do was show how do you break into a complex defense, and the synchronization of fires, the procedure of SOSRA, the use of smoke and things like that. I think you can see that there is enough weight of green forces, blue forces, to at leisure reduce the remnants of the defenders. And so what do we see? What we see is this was the mortar battery, and they've been reduced down to, I think, 3 trucks. Yeah, it's now a truck company. All right, the mortars are gone, and there's 2 tanks left here. And what we didn't spot yet, but really isn't a big deal, is 1 BTR and 1 recoilless rifle. And then this company was reduced down to looks like 1 platoon of infantry with a carrier, a grenade launcher, a medium machine gun, and one medium ATGM. So there's like hardly any combat power left here, right? And we still have an entire tank company that's not been committed. And so this to me, this is a go. Now the no-go part is lost way too many tanks doing this, and it was because I didn't use smoke up here. I didn't synchronize the movement of the first. I had 2 tank companies in the rear. The first tank company, I moved them before this obstacle was reduced, and as a result, that tank company said, "Well, we're going to go around the obstacle," and that brought them right here, where a bunch of guys got dusted. And then they moved back, and they're still in the line of fire. They got dusted. So that's a combination of, had they come up this way, which is what I plotted them to do, but they couldn't do that because the engineers weren't done yet, because I didn't synchronize stuff right. Okay. And that's the hard part about this. And it's hard in the game, and it's hard in real life to do that. And so the trade-off is you go a little slower and your synchronization is easier, or you go faster and it makes it harder for the defender to react, but there's the risk that your synchronization gets off, and you kind of pay some penalties there. And also, I lost a bunch of infantry here because while they were sitting in the wire, snipping away at it, they were not obscured. And the company that was defending, I think it was in this look, the company that was in this position, well, they're 500 meters away, easy machine gun shots. And that's why you put guys close to the obstacles. You can put an obstacle 3 kilometers in front of you, but the only thing that can reach it are like missiles and tank guns. And so when you build a defense, you want to bring those obstacles close enough in that your small arms can cover that, because the guys who breach it are not in armored vehicles. They're on the ground. They're poking at the dirt with sticks to find the mines. They got out their wire cutters and bolt cutters to cut the wire, and they're incredibly vulnerable. And yes, you can use artillery or mortars, but it's a lot better to use machine guns and rifles. And so it's better to have those things in close in, which is what I built here. Okay, and that concludes the exercise. Thanks a lot for your attention, and look forward to any comments and questions. Thank you. Good night.